if there is a God side and the other side, if there are moral things and things that are immoral, if there is this side or that side, it can't be left up to thought process. I'm an enforcer on this side.
Katt Williams just cracked the Hollywood mask wide open. And guess who's standing exposed right in the spotlight? None other than Steve Harvey. In an explosive interview that's already sending shockwaves across the entertainment world, Williams held nothing back. He called out Harvey not as a leader but as a frontman, a smiling, sharp-dressed figurehead for the real power players hiding in the dark. According to Katt, Steve's not in control, he's controlled. Every move, scripted. Every laugh, rehearsed. That iconic mustache, just part of the act. Behind that big, charming smile, allegiance. Not to fans, but to the faceless forces pulling the strings from behind the curtain. And when they tug, Steve doesn't resist. He performs.
Authenticity, I felt like more, and I could be wrong, I don't know your guys' relationship. It felt like you guys had like a relationship before, and then something bitter in between it. What's the real story between you guys?
What started as a casual convo about comedy quickly turned into a full-blown expose. Katt Williams didn't hold back. He came in throwing punches, accusing Steve Harvey of turning his back not just on fellow comedians, but on the very culture he claims to uplift. "This is the same Steve," Katt said, who sat front row for Mark Curry's sitcom, took notes, then jacked the whole concept for himself. But this wasn't just a call-out over stolen jokes. This was bigger, deeper. A gut punch to the idea of creative respect. According to Katt, Harvey, armed with Hollywood's protection, didn't just borrow. He erased. He took an idea, buried the real creator, then covered it with a loud laugh and a designer suit. But the sharpest sting came when Williams questioned something bigger than Steve's grind. He questioned his soul, and if there's even a piece of it left to sell, we've all heard the whispers. Rumors about backdoor deals, about moral shortcuts. But this time, Katt ripped the curtain down. He claimed they offered him the same deal Harvey took, a moment of decision. Join the machine, or walk away with your integrity intact. Katt walked. Steve, he said, took the offer along with the money, the comfort, the clout. "I'm not for sale," Williams declared. The message, Steve Harvey might be
one of the chosen high-ranked, know-the-dirt individuals, right? And so dirt responds as they should when the vacuum walks in.
Nah, come on, are you a rapper? You rap on the side?
No, I still rap.
Which leaves us staring at a question too big to ignore. How did Steve Harvey go from a struggling talk show host to one of the most inescapable faces in entertainment, sitting atop a $140 million empire? Was it really just timing and talent? Or is there something deeper at play, a game where loyalty buys entry and silence secures power? For years, whispers have echoed through the industry, rumors of a hidden circle, a shadowy network trading fame and fortune like currency. They call it the Illuminati wing of Hollywood. Katt Williams never said the word. He didn't have to. The insinuation was thick in the air, left hanging like smoke. Maybe Harvey's rise wasn't just charisma and hustle. Maybe it was compliance. A nod. A handshake. A deal made behind closed doors, where dreams come true for a price.
When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
And if Steve Harvey's rise wasn't entirely clean, then what about the woman standing right beside him? Because the deeper you dig into Marjorie Harvey's past, the more unsettling it becomes. Long before the luxury handbags and glossy Instagram life, Marjorie was married not once, but twice to convicted drug kingpins. First, there was Jim L. Townsend, who was sentenced to life in prison for attempting to traffic a staggering 40 kilos of cocaine. Yes, 40. Then, in a twist that sounds more like a crime drama than real life, she later married Donald Woods, another alleged heavyweight in the same underground scene. This isn't tabloid gossip. These aren't whispers from shady sources. It's all out there, part of the public record. And it raises a chilling question. Just how deep does this power couple's past go?
Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
When Jim Townsend eventually published his memoir after receiving a presidential pardon, he didn't exactly clear Marjorie's name. If anything, he made things murkier. He claimed the FBI had enough evidence to put her behind bars, but he cut a deal to keep her out. So, did Marjorie avoid prison just because of who she was married to? And if that's true, how much of her luxurious present is built on favors that haven't come due yet? The questions keep piling up. Quiet conversations are starting within the industry, low tones, off the record. Some insiders say Marjorie didn't just benefit from her connections, she played them, like chess. Relationship by relationship, she moved with precision through elite circles, with the instincts of a survivor and the mind of a strategist. One former music publicist who worked with A-list artists in the early 2000s claimed Marjorie was always there, always present. Even before Steve Harvey became a household name, she wasn't just a supportive wife in the background, she was the one calling the shots. And if that version is true, then Marjorie isn't just part of the empire. She's the queenpin behind it all.
What's the best advice they've given you? Just remember that you're the prize at all times. Boom, best advice.
Which brings us to the image that carefully crafted picture-perfect family portrait. The blended children, the matching outfits, the birthday parties for grandkids, staged like episodes of a feel-good sitcom. It's so polished, so flawless, it almost feels scripted. Especially when you remember just how many public missteps Steve Harvey has had over the years, from the Miss Universe disaster, to cozying up to controversial political figures, to tone-deaf jokes that ignited backlash. And yet, every time, he walks away untouched, like he's got an invisible PR force field. Or maybe, just maybe, it's not luck. Maybe it's by design. Maybe that perfect image is armor. Now put that next to Katt Williams' raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically real. A man who's burned bridges if it meant telling the truth. He's been arrested, silenced, mocked, and blackballed, but never broken. And in this interview, he's not just throwing punches at Steve Harvey, he's putting the whole Hollywood system on trial. When he turned down the revamped Kings of Comedy after Bernie Mac's passing, his reasoning was sharp and unapologetic. He refused to stand next to the man he believed betrayed Bernie behind closed doors. "You think I'm gonna let you disrespect Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king, you?" That line wasn't just a jab, it was a statement of values. For Katt, it wasn't about fame. It was about truth. He saw the game for what it was and walked away from the prize.
This is my job. I'm supposed to come in and restore order because that's my position. The fact that it's ignored by the clowns because they're all in the same frat, comedically, like, that's all well and good. I don't care nothing about none of that. But
And now, even those who were closest to Bernie Mac are speaking up. His daughter, Janice McCullough, didn't mince words. She applauded Katt Williams for keeping it real, calling his honesty refreshing in an industry built on fake smiles and silent backstabbing. "There are people giving my dad flowers now that he's gone," she said. "And I'm looking at them like you know good and well. You weren't doing that when he was alive." That wasn't just shade, it was a spotlight. And it shined straight onto Steve Harvey, whose public tributes to Bernie might not reflect what was really going on behind the scenes. Then came Ed Lover, a respected voice in the radio world backing up Katt's claims. He confirmed that Bernie once told him Steve tried to block his role in Ocean's 11. That's not just ego. That's sabotage, quiet, calculated, and deliberate. the kind of move that doesn't get forgotten. Even Cedric the Entertainer didn't do much to calm the fire. When asked about the tension on the original Kings of Comedy tour, he brushed it off as alpha male energy. But that's not a real answer, it's a dodge. Because behind all the laughs and applause, there was something deeper brewing, a storm the public never saw until now.
And Katt Williams was that guy. In 2005 to 2008, right in there, Katt, we were looking at Katt like, wow.
Katt Williams isn't pulling punches, and now he's pointing to what he calls a coordinated alliance: Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and Rickey Smiley. According to Katt, this trio isn't just a coincidence. It's a united front three men guarding their positions, their image, and maybe even each other's secrets. He claims Rickey Smiley kept showing up at his auditions like a shadow with a clipboard, and suddenly, that doesn't sound so paranoid. If Katt's telling the truth, then the comedy world has had a hidden backroom all along, where opportunities are handed out behind closed doors and careers are shaped in silence. And then there's the alleged joke theft, not some small punchline, but a bit Katt says he performed live on national television, only for Cedric to recycle it later on the Kings of Comedy stage. You can find both clips online. Play them back to back, and it gets real hard to call it coincidence. But Katt's fight isn't just about stolen jokes, it's about integrity. He even took a jab at Cedric's nickname, the Entertainer, saying he can't sing, can't dance, and barely writes his own material. And then came the knockout. Why are Cedric's stand-up specials missing from major streaming platforms, while Katt's own library, 12 Deep, is right there for the world to see? That's not just a resume. That's a resume and a receipt.
Then I'm not even allowed to be worried. What would I be worried about? It's those that traffic in falsehoods that gotta worry about me, because I'll say something.
So here we are, standing at the crossroads between fame and facade. On one side, you've got Steve Harvey, the polished brand, the media empire, the family man with that signature morning show grin. On the other, Katt Williams, the velvet-clad rebel, holding a torch in one hand and a mirror in the other. One says everything's just fine, the other says it's all fake. And now, we're left asking ourselves which version actually sounds more believable. But this wasn't just about comedy gigs or casting politics. Katt didn't stop with vague industry jabs. He went personal. What he revealed next felt less like rivalry and more like betrayal. According to Katt, Steve Harvey didn't just compete with Bernie Mac, he tried to erase him. Behind closed doors, Katt claims Harvey made private calls to sabotage Bernie's shot at major roles, including Ocean's 11. And here's where things get real, because that accusation doesn't just rest on Katt's shoulders. Longtime radio host Ed Lover came forward and confirmed it. He said Bernie Mac himself told him, face to face, that Harvey tried to replace him in that very film. The stuff Katt said about Steve calling to block Bernie's role in Ocean's 11, Bernie told me that out of his own mouth. That's not hearsay, that's not tabloid gossip, that's first-hand testimony. And if it's true, the legacy we've been shown might be a carefully edited script.
If you've ever been in both of those positions, then you understand. Like,
Right.
I never, the blessing with me is I never have a bad intention. It's always for a reason.
And that leads us to the question no one wants to ask out loud: why? Why would Steve Harvey, already rich, already famous, go out of his way to undermine someone he once shared the stage with? Was it ego, insecurity, or was Bernie Mac simply becoming too powerful, too brilliant to control? Katt Williams painted a damning picture of Harvey as a man who couldn't compete on raw talent, so he pulled strings behind the curtain instead. According to Katt, Steve wasn't a mentor, he was an assassin, smiling in public while clearing the path for himself in private. And that claim hits harder when you look at Bernie's rise from hit television shows to sold-out arenas to big-budget Hollywood films, a true star in every sense. But not everyone clapped. Now, let's rewind to the original Kings of Comedy, a cultural phenomenon directed by Spike Lee that turned 4 comedians into legends. Cedric the Entertainer, DL, Hughley, Steve Harvey, and Bernie Mac. But behind the scenes, the tension was real. Cedric later admitted the cast didn't always get along, especially Steve and Bernie. In his words, they both alpha males, they just saw it different. But that's the sanitized version. The real whispers say Steve hated following Bernie on stage. Every night, Bernie crushed it. He left crowds breathless, and Harvey, who insisted on closing the show, began to resent the standing ovations Bernie earned, the kind of love that can't be scripted.
Having the man's next role in a dress in Hollywood and a studio accept that from you, you're not that powerful a guy. You don't really turn down $200 million worth of roles. You didn't really do that.
He made it seem like it was like the Illuminati was making you guys do all these.
And this wasn't just a bruised ego, it became a battle for control. In a 2003 interview with GQ, Bernie Mac directly accused Steve Harvey of trying to steal his roles and reshape his public image behind the scenes. Steve would later tell BET that Bernie denied ever saying it, but those closest to the situation tell a different story. Industry insiders, tour crew members, even opening act Damon Williams have all pointed to undeniable tension between the two. DL Hughley once confirmed that a Kings of Comedy reunion was in the works. Bernie was ready, DL was ready, Cedric was ready. But Steve, he backed out. And just like that, one of comedy's most legendary lineups fell apart. Now imagine what that kind of betrayal does to a man like Bernie Mac, a towering figure, but still human. A man battling sarcoidosis, an inflammatory disease, while grinding through one of the toughest industries on earth. Bernie was loyal, he was straight up. If he had a problem with you, he said it to your face. So, watching someone he once trusted allegedly move against him in the shadows, that wasn't just a career move. That was a knife in the back. And the worst part? Bernie never got the truth, never got the closure. He passed before any real conversation could happen. And Steve Harvey's silence since then, it doesn't just echo, it screams.
Her mother is 54 years old. Her mother is 5 years older.
Which brings us right back to Marjorie, because while Steve was allegedly playing the role of king on stage, Marjorie might have been orchestrating her own ascent, moving from Memphis nightclubs to Beverly Hills brunch tables with unnerving precision. Her name was never just arm candy, not when both her ex-husbands were tied to serious criminal operations. Jim Townsend, who spent years behind bars for trafficking massive quantities of drugs, once claimed he had enough evidence to have Marjorie indicted, and yet she walked. No charges, no courtroom. Just a clean slate and a second act beside a rising star. That's not coincidence, that's power. So, did she strike a deal? Did she trade silence or secrets in exchange for freedom? It's the kind of question people in the industry are afraid to even whisper. A former assistant on a major daytime show revealed they were specifically told not to bring up Marjorie's past in pre-interviews. Another publicist claimed her name raised red flags during routine background checks at a major network, and still, Steve Harvey has always credited her as his savior. "She saved my life," he said more than once. But maybe we've been asking the wrong question all along. Maybe it's not about how she saved him. Maybe it's about what life she saved and what the cost of that salvation really was.
I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves.
Meanwhile, Katt Williams isn't just calling out Steve Harvey. He's pulling back the curtain on something much bigger. He hinted at a wider web, a network of high-profile comedians operating behind the scenes like a secret club. According to Katt, this group didn't just compete, they sabotaged, blocking auditions, redirecting roles, planting false narratives with networks. And when you connect the dots, it doesn't sound like paranoia, it sounds like a pattern. Despite Katt's massive popularity and undeniable talent, his career has hit wall after wall, often right after he clashed publicly with industry power players. He was labeled difficult, blackballed, and pushed aside. But if his latest interview proves anything, it's that he's done staying quiet. He's not scared, not silenced, not anymore.
I can stay committed because I'm only representing authenticity, and I am showing that as well. So it's not very difficult to walk the walk and talk the talk.
When you do interviews,
and maybe that's the real dividing line between Katt Williams and someone like Steve Harvey. One refuses to play by the rules, the other may have helped write them. Because this isn't just about stolen jokes or blocked movie roles, it's about trust, legacy, and what authenticity really means in an industry built on illusion. If Katt is telling the truth, if Steve Harvey didn't just disappoint Bernie Mac, but quietly dismantled his path to success, then this wasn't a falling out, it was a betrayal. A calculated brick-by-brick takedown of a friend's future, happening quietly behind closed doors while the cameras kept rolling. And now, with more people speaking up, Ed Lover, Bernie's daughter Janice McCullough, even Cedric the Entertainer, choosing his words more carefully than ever, the image is starting to crack. The Steve Harvey we've been sold for years, the wise father figure, the clean-cut television titan, the motivational guru, might not be the man he truly is behind the scenes. Because if he really did sell out the people who helped him rise, traded loyalty for legacy, and prioritized status over brotherhood, then what does that say about the system that didn't just protect him, it rewarded him? And what does it say about how power is really kept in Hollywood?
So I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this, he think he this. You don't even know me.
So here's the question we're all left with. Was Steve Harvey's empire truly built on talent or betrayal? Did he rise because of Hollywood or because he made the right deals behind the scenes to survive it? And if what Katt Williams has revealed is just the tip of the iceberg, how deep does this rabbit hole really go? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you stand with Katt, or do you believe Steve still deserves his crown? Either way, we're watching closely because this story, it's far from over. New voices are speaking out, new truths are rising, and we promise the spotlight isn't going anywhere. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, not everything you see on stage is real. And if you want more raw truth, more untold stories, and more behind-the-scenes revelations like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us right here on the channel.